What is up, everyone, and welcome back to another video. In this video, we have some more Lions news, but not really. We really don't have any news. I have some very little stories to tell you, but then I have my top 6 cornerbacks that I ranked. Kind of my top 6. I kind of rearranged CBS's top 6. But anyways, we'll get to that in a second. Let's get it started. Alright, so I'm going to start off with two very little short news stories that we may potentially have, and then we'll obviously hop into that clip, and that'll be it. So, the first thing is that Rapoport predicts the Detroit Lions will trade with the Dolphins in this year's draft to either get Jeffrey Okudah or Isaiah Simmons. Now, obviously, trading back is very likely. I think trading back will happen. I talked about yesterday, let me just clear this up when I said the Detroit Lions may make a trade before. I don't think the trade will actually be announced, but I think the Detroit Lions are really using this as to push the other teams, because, oh, wait, we're already looking for a trade, so, you guys should start giving us some really good offers here. Probably just to raise the offers. Obviously, he's been talking good about Tua. I think he's trying to get better offers out of these teams quicker, put the pressure on now, because, with the whole digital and virtual thing, you probably don't want to mess with it anyways. Trying to put the pressure on now, see if he can get a really good deal lined up, and if he can, he'll hold it in his back pocket and know it's there, and if Chase Young falls, he'll take Chase Young. If not, I think he'll be like, okay, this is the trade we're going to make. He'll call them back and be like, all right, maybe he'll ask for more again, like draft day. I don't know, but I think at that point, then he'll try to make a trade. So I don't think they'll announce it days before. It would really just hurt the Detroit Lions because obviously, again, I don't think it would be an actual trade. I think it would just be conversation between two teams, pretty much on a mutual agreement that, yeah, we could do this if you want to. So I think that's kind of what it will be, and both teams will be open to that. So I think he's just getting that started now. He said he's been doing this since the combine. I just kind of want to clear that up. That's what I meant by yesterday's video. Said it kind of goofy. It was late. All right, I was tired. I was just kind of jacked up after seeing the whole Glover Quinn thing. It was a wild night. So I just want to clear that up a little bit. That's my thoughts. And also, Trey Burton is now available. I believe he's still available by the time you're seeing this tight end. Personally, I wouldn't want to go sign him. He's 28 years old. I believe he's like a veteran tight end. I wouldn't go sign him. I know the Lions were interested back in 2018, but adding TJ Hockenson and Jesse James kind of gets rid of that for me. Personally, I would love to see Isaac Nauta get another opportunity next year. I know he didn't play very well, but I would love to see him get another chance next year. He only has been here for a year, and I think he's fine. That's 3 tight ends. I wouldn't go sign anybody. I would wait at least until the draft happens and then see, who's available. But now we're going to hop into my CBS rankings, or my rearranged CBS rankings for my top 6 cornerbacks after watching film. If you guys want to see this on any other players, make sure you let me know. Also, go check out the website if you guys want a full breakdown. Thank you, Pride, for watching, and I'm out. Well, I'm not out. You're about to see another clip. I think next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe we'll get some news, some rumors at least. We'll definitely get that. But right now, there's just not a lot of things going on because the draft hasn't happened yet. Not a lot of people want to give away anything. It's just all speculation at this point. So definitely very excited for next week. Right now, just kind of quiet. So I'm kind of coming up with new ideas. And I've been, using this time to look at a lot of different prospects. And the last couple of days, I focused on cornerbacks very heavy. I'll probably go to other positions next. But I do want to make sure I know a lot of these players, at least the top ones. I want to make sure I know when the Lions select someone like, oh, yeah, like this is why I like him, this is what I don't like about him. Not necessarily like, oh, yeah, he's good because they took him. Like, that's not how I want it to be. I want to be able to be objective about these and be like, okay, I don't like that pick or I do like that pick. So definitely been focusing on cornerbacks the last couple of days. I still have to catch up on Noah out of Auburn and a lot of mid-round picks. But the top ones, I've kind of done pretty much all my research I could do. I have looked at every single coverage snap for most of these players, like every single one from 2019, including Jeffrey Okudah, Christian Fulton, CJ Henderson, AJ Terrell, Jalen Johnson, Trayvon Diggs, who else is that? Jeff Gladney. There's a lot of players, and I've looked at all of them. So definitely pretty cool. Learned a lot from it. Actually, I was surprised by some things, and this is based on 2019 film as well. So I wanted to see, okay, where do I think these players fit for the Lions? How would I rank these guys? So I went on CBS Sports, and I looked at their cornerback rankings, and here are their top 6, okay, in this order. Let's listen to this real quick. Number 1, they have Jeffrey Okudah. Number 2, they have CJ Henderson. Number 3, they have Christian Fulton. Number 4, AJ Terrell. Number 5, they have Trayvon Diggs. And number 6, they have Jeff Gladney. That is their top 6 cornerbacks by the CBS Sports rankings. So what I decided to do is, because since I've seen all those players, have not seen Noah yet, and no, there is no Jalen Johnson in here. I have seen him though, so I do know about Jalen now out of Utah. But I decided to take those 6 and kind of rearrange them and put them in the order that I would put them. Now, not only for the Detroit Lions, but I think as great players, but I think all of these guys actually could fit the Lions defense, but just really how good they were last season on film, what I saw from them. And I took that and I put it into my own little top 6 with the same players, just rearranged it. So here is my top 6. I'll explain each one a little bit. At number 1, we have Jeffrey Okudah. I think he still is the top cornerback in this draft. Very athletic, can guard every position. He had 0 pass interference calls. he was a very good corner, and you could see him on tape. He was a very willing tackler. However, sometimes he wouldn't wrap up, and the guy would slip out of him. One time he tried to go for a big hit for a safety. He lost it. I mean, they actually did. I think they did end up getting a safety out of that, but, he missed the tackle. Sometimes he doesn't wrap up very well, but he is willing, which is very, very important. He obviously has the size to play for Matt Patricia's defense. Very sticky. He can play man press. There are some concerns, though. I think if you simply look at interceptions, you don't want to get super excited, though, because when you watch his interceptions, they all came off of pressure from the defensive line or pass rush. But I also will say this, not to put that against Jeffrey Okudah, because I also will say this, every single player, if you watch film on any cornerback, you can see their best plays come when pressure is there. So that's why I'm more of a pressure guy than just locking up corners, because corners are great, but if you don't get pressure, they look a lot worse. There was times, even though Jeffrey Okudah is the best cornerback in this draft class, there were times, though, when there was no pressure, he would allow passes completed, and it happens. It's going to happen to everybody, right? He's not the most shutdown guy I've ever seen in my life, and he would get beat. He was getting beat by players from Miami of Ohio. Okay, let me just point that out. Miami of Ohio. So this NFL Miami of Ohio is a big difference. I'm not saying, that means he's a bad cornerback. I'm just saying pressure is what it all comes down to. If you're not getting pressure, the cornerbacks are going to look bad. If you get pressure, your cornerbacks can look great. So I think that's where everything starts, and that's where I go that route first. But if we're simply looking at corners, I do believe he is the best corner in this draft, but I don't get too excited for all the interceptions because all of them came off of a huge pass rush. A lot of times from Chase Young. Like I said, he struggled against Miami of Ohio. I feel like he plays with this competition. When he played big competition, Clemson, he played up to that competition. I think him and Nico Collins actually went at it. That was a very fun one to watch. That film was nice. And I also will say I do like Nico Collins, and he looked really good in that. But that was a really good one to watch. But I will say, he played up to his competition versus Clemson. He was very good. I think he only allowed one big pass. But he also plays down to his competition. Miami of Ohio, he looked really bad. It was almost like he didn't take them seriously, so he was trying to make big plays, and a couple of times he was beat. Actually, a few times he was beat so bad, but the quarterback just was so bad also that he couldn't make the play. There was one play, he was like running, the slot wide receiver I think he was running like a wheel route or something, and basically the quarterback had him wide open because Jeffrey Okudah jumped down on the inside wide receiver, and he threw it out of bounds. It was really bad. This dude did a throwaway, like he threw away when there was pressure, nearly into the crowd. Okay, Miami of Ohio's quarterback struggled a little bit in that game, but I understand you're playing Ohio State. It makes sense. I will say he still is the best cornerback in this draft, but I still think it all starts with pressure. So I'll give him the top one. I think he's worth a top 10 pick. I haven't seen a cornerback better, but I do think there is some good competition out there and some sleepers for sure. Next up at number 2, they went with CJ Henderson. CBS Sports did. I went with Christian Fulton. After watching Christian Fulton, I was like, wow, this is a really good player. I think this could be a top 20 pick without a doubt, possibly a top 10 pick. I think he's worth that. I think some people say CJ Henderson could go number 10. Forget that. I think Christian Fulton's better than CJ Henderson just from what I saw. I know you might go listen to ESPN experts or whatever. Personally, I think Christian Fulton's a better cornerback than CJ Henderson, okay? I know Christian Fulton maybe not get that love, maybe from other big sports media. Again, these are my opinions. This is what I saw. So what I take away and what they take away can be different. But simply to me, Christian Fulton was the second best cornerback out of the top 6 cornerbacks that we looked at here. This guy is known as the best zone cornerback, but at the same time, he did play a tons of man-to-man at LSU, so he still would fit our defense. This guy was simple. Here's how I would sum this up. If you guys saw my Trayvon Diggs video, think of Trayvon Diggs, the guy that's really risky, takes a lot of big risks. Sometimes he's got a big play, sometimes really bad plays. Think of Trayvon Diggs, but better. Just is that simple. This guy takes and makes a lot of big plays. He's a very opportunistic cornerback. Ball skills, so when the ball's in the air, he usually makes the play on the ball. I think he might have the best ball skills out of any of these cornerbacks that I looked at. I truly believe that. He gets burnt though if you press him up. I think he would have to play back a little bit like Darius Slay does on the outside. If you watch Slay, when you knew you were going to get burnt, he played off a little bit. Colin Johnson actually did really, really well out of Texas versus him, so definitely got to keep a look at. But yes, his deep coverage isn't the best because he doesn't have that speed, but when the ball's in the air, he makes a great play on it. So I'm going to go with Christian Fulton. A couple of times, he goes to try and make a big play, he misses, and he gambles. He's a gambler cornerback, okay? This is a guy that will take risks, but I feel like more often than not, it works out for him, and he makes some very, very big plays. So Christian Fulton, to me, is the second best corner. At number 3, they have Christian Fulton. Me, I have Jeff Gladney. Simply, I think Jeff Gladney, 6 foot tall, 183, needs to put on some weight, but I think he's a very consistent cornerback at TCU. I think he's maybe the most consistent. I would call him Mr. Consistent out of these guys because it wasn't like you were shocked and there's a big play, and he wasn't like Christian Fulton, a gambler. He wasn't a huge hitter. He was just a good cornerback. I felt like he was all around a good cornerback. You give up some plays, you make some plays. I feel like he was just a solid guy that you can rely upon in the NFL. So that'll just keep it short and sweet with that one. At number 4, they had AJ Terrell. At number 4, I have Trayvon Diggs. Again, Trayvon Diggs, we did did a video on him, a full breakdown. Very risky, a very risky player. Sometimes he's a little bit grabby, which is the biggest concern I have with Trayvon Diggs. But with the size, 6'2", 195, I think he has the ceiling, that the potential is so high because he hasn't played that many snaps at cornerback. He's got the size. He has the skills. He just needs to, I think he needs to trust himself a little bit more and be less grabby. But this is a guy that I think in a few years could be maybe the best cornerback out of this class, and I'm not kidding. At number 5, they have Trayvon Diggs. I went with C.J. Henderson. Didn't love C.J. Henderson. I'm not going to lie. I didn't think he was bad. For some reason, I watched C.J. Henderson. I was like, this is a good cornerback. He has the technique. He has everything down. He just allowed so many receptions. I was just like, oh, man. And he didn't show me enough to make any big plays where I was super excited. But at the same time, I will give him some benefit. He was in a Florida defense that got a lot less pressure than a team like Jeffrey Okudah and Ohio State in that defensive line. But I didn't love him. However, I feel like he has everything that could make him a good cornerback. So I think, if you got him some pressure, he could look way better than what he did in college. And finally, at number 6, I went with A.J. Terrell. This was probably the biggest letdown I've seen. Again, I don't know if they got pressure like Ohio State did, but again, A.J. Terrell was really bad to me. For some reason, I still have the feeling that this could be a good, number 2 corner. He could play outside. He could play a little slot, but yeah. He was probably the worst cornerback out of all 6 I've looked at it, even including Jalen Johnson. I didn't like A.J. Terrell at all. I know some people look at it and they see different things, but like I said, I watched every single coverage, play he was in. Didn't love him. A.J. Terrell he just didn't look very good to me, okay? Both of his interceptions, if you simply look at stats, were just completely awful. One of them was just the quarterback just threw it up and there was no one near him. He just kind of sat under it like a punt. And the other one was just well underthrown. I'm not saying that's his fault. I'm just saying, he loses jump balls. He doesn't win those. He allows receptions all the time. It's like when you threw it to him, it was like every time they were completed, it was like, man, you got to knock one of these out. So A.J. Terrell, didn't love him, but for some reason, I do feel like he has the stature to be a good cornerback. He just didn't show it in 2019. So there you go. Those are my top 6. Now, before I end this video, I want to say thank you, Pat, for watching them out, obviously. But I also want to say that thank you for all of the donations. Those will be going towards the channel. I was planning on getting a webcam and a microphone for the draft, a better one, but unfortunately, because of everything that's going around, unfortunately, because of that, I wasn't able to order it, which I understand completely. You're trying to do priorities. So I won't be able to get that in time, but at some point I will get that, hopefully when everything gets resolved. So I do appreciate those. Those will go to the channel. It means a ton. And also, if you guys want to see full breakdowns on these players, if you're looking at one, you're like, man, I don't see what you're saying, or you're like, okay, can I hear more though? Why is he here? Those breakdowns will be on the website. Link is in the description. It's like a second or third link. The problem is, well, not the problem, but those aren't all out right now. I'm working on them still, but they'll be up there at some point. So make sure you go subscribe to that. It's free. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.